Last night we saw probably the greatest AEW Dynamite ever, and winter is coming. We saw new faces in AEW, and we're probably going to end up seeing more next week. But how that ended up happening, I'm going to talk and rate all the segments that happened last night on Winter is Coming. What do I mean when I say I'm going to rate it? Well, as you see on the screen, I'm going to give each segment a rating. No star means it was horrible. 1 star means it was a squash. 2 stars means it was average or okay. 3 stars means it was good. 4 stars means it was amazing. And 5 stars means it was a classic and it is a must-watch match or segment. We open up the show, and all the wrestlers are standing outside of the ring. And Justin Roberts gets on the mic, says that the Dynamite Battle Royal is going to start right now. And all the wrestlers scramble into the ring, except for Scorpio Sky and Shawn Spears, who have a little stare down outside the ring. Now, as soon as the match starts, Matt Hardy eliminates Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party. Now, I'm not sure if that was accidental or if that was on purpose, because Cassidy's in Hardy Party, their faction name. Scorpio Sky eventually eliminates Shawn Spears cleanly, but Spears didn't take it all that well, and Tully Blanchard, hands him the steel slug, and he goes back in the ring and hits Sky with the slug, and Sky is eventually tossed out. Now we get to our final 5, being Orange Cassidy, Miro, Jungle Boy, and three members of the Inner Circle. Cassidy was being beaten up outside of the ring earlier on in the match, and everyone totally forgot about him, including myself. But in the meantime, everybody gangs up on Miro, and it took 3 members of the Inner Circle, Wardlow, MJF, and Sammy Guevara, to take Miro out of the match. Now, Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara had this amazing sequence on the apron, and it looked really nice. And if you haven't seen it, you have to check that out. That was absolutely amazing. But MJF, they're both on the top rope, and MJF pushes both of them off, and Sammy Guevara immediately starts yelling at MJF like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" But we're left with MJF and Wardlow in the ring. As soon as we think that we're gonna get MJF versus Wardlow, remember that Orange Cassidy was never eliminated from the match, and is eventually brought back into the ring. Now, Cassidy just goes on fire. Cassidy hits everybody. He had he was on fire. Orange punches, beach breaks, everything. He was hitting everything. And eventually he eliminates Wardlow, meaning that next week on Dynamite, we're going to have MJF versus Orange Cassidy. Now, I'm giving this 3 stars because it was very unpredictable. It was very fun. And we get a fresh matchup that we've never seen before with MJF and Orange Cassidy next week on Dynamite. And in general, it was a great way to open up the show. Next up, we get this very fun match between Chris Jericho and Frankie Kazarian. This match was pretty good, very good. It was even better than I expected, and I even call this match underrated. Now, the match is going pretty good, but nothing really happens until the end, where MJF and Wardlow come back out, and they're gonna throw in the towel after Kazarian has Jericho in his own wall as Jericho, and Sammy comes out and takes a towel out of MJF's hands, and Chris Jericho sees Sammy Guevara with a towel, and so what they're trying to make us think is that Chris Jericho thinks that Sammy Guevara is trying to throw in the towel. And after the match, Jericho says that the Inner Circle has to remain strong, and that we're gonna have an ultimatum next week where everybody has to work together. And if they don't, Inner Circle is broken up forever. And I thought it was pretty good. But I'm giving this segment 3 stars because I thought it was pretty good. But the important part is this long-term story that we're being told with MJF and Sammy Guevara, their little feud, and the rest of the Inner Circle. And so next week, I hope whatever we get is gonna be, no matter what we get, actually, it's probably gonna be pretty good, and it's gonna play a huge part in this MJF joining the Inner Circle and breaking it up storyline. Now, before we get into this match, we have a backstage segment between the Young Bucks and Alex Marvez, who's interviewing them about their matchup next week with TH2, and the Acclaim come up to them with their book, and they make fun of the Young Bucks pose, saying that they're staring at each other's dicks. I thought it was a weird way to come off, but it still worked because TH2 eventually jumps the Young Bucks and are saved by SCU. So maybe a Young Bucks and SCU kind of alliance. But as we get back in the ring, Britt Baker and Layla Hirsch are fighting. And as we get near the end of the match, we see a lot of involvement from Reba. I'm just gonna call her Reba. I know people call her Rebel, but I'm just gonna say Reba. Reba keeps interfering, and eventually it's too much as Layla taps out to the lockjaw. And as soon as the match is over, Thunder Rosa comes firing out from the crowd and just destroys Baker, and it takes the refs to refs to separate them. They need refs to separate them, and as both of them are separated, Reba goes up to Rosa and starts like punching her in the face, and Hirsch slams Reba, and we close the segment with both of them being separated. Now I'm gonna give this another 3 stars. Once again, this was pretty good, but also the purpose of this was to tell another chapter of the story of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa feud, which I'm each week it's getting better and better, and I hope they stick to it and don't how they did it this week, how they have 1 week where they feud, they take a week off and they come back next week, either on Dark or Dynamite. They have to at least have an interaction or do something, so you get updated with this story or feud, I should say. Next up, we get some tag action between Team Taz and the TNT champion Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. And this match was really good. The point of the story of the match was getting Powerhouse Hobbs away from whoever was in the ring. So if it was Darby and Starks, Cody would do whatever he could to make sure Hobbs doesn't make a tag and keep Starks isolated in the ring with them. And it ends up working as Darby and Cody defeat Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. And afterwards they are jumped by Team Taz. And if you didn't know that, that's exactly what I had predicted. So weird flex, but okay. And then the lights go out, and we get this like really weird, strange music that we've never heard before, and it and it's like everyone's like no one knows who it is until it's revealed on the Titantron that it's Sting, and Sting's made his AEW debut, and everybody just clears the ring. Team Taz is gone, ditched. They don't care. They're gone, and Sting stares down everybody in the ring: Arn Anderson, Cody, and even the TNT champion Darby Allin, making an amazing moment in AEW history. Now, as for this overall segment, I'm giving this 4 stars because, I mean, god dang, Sting made his AEW debut, and also this was a very good and entertaining match. The AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, is being interviewed backstage, and she's being asked whether she fears Abaddon, and she says no, but then we hear this like bell or like, I don't know, it was like a weird sound, and we're assuming it was Abaddon, and Sheeta like runs off scared. So I guess that depicts her answer to the question. We get a promo from Moxley promising Omega that it's not gonna go in his way, that he's gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that he wins tonight. And after both entrances, they both get in the ring, and they just go at war. This match was probably this match was so good for Dynamite. This really should have been a pay-per-view, a Revolution, but it is what it is. It's free. We'll take it. It was really good. But the real stuff doesn't happen until the end, where Moxley does a paradigm shift on the heater outside the ring. And they're saying that Omega is injured. But Moxley, he doesn't care because he remembers when Omega attacked him. So he gets him back in the ring, and he says, and Don Callis, who was invited by Tony Khan to be at commentary, comes down to the ring and tells the ref that Omega's injured, and Moxley, who doesn't care, pushes and he throws him to the ground, Don Callis, and while he throws to the ground, the mic he had slips and lands right in the hands of Omega, and Omega hits Moxley with the microphone, and Moxley's busted. He's bleeding everywhere. After a couple V-triggers and a one-winged angel, Kenny Omega is the new AEW Heavyweight Championship, and Don Callis raises his hand, and they book it. They are gone. They pass by Tony Khan. They just leave. They're out, and then Marvez, who ends up with the 4.2 speed, runs to them and says, "What's going on?" He says, "Oh, you'll find out Tuesday night." And he says, "What? Dynamite's on Wednesday." He goes, "Impact Wrestling, Access TV. To me and Kenny will tell you all about it." And they zoom off in the car. Now they cut back to Moxley in the ring, and like out of nowhere, not Kenny Omega, excuse me, Eddie Kingston gets on hits his hand on the announcer mic or the headset, and says, "I can't wait for next week. I need Lance Archer now," and makes like a growling sound into the mic, and the show goes off the air with Moxley bleeding, lying in the ring. Now, this is no question, but I'm giving this match 5 stars because the match, not only was the match good, we also get this Impact and AEW partnership that you could see tons of dream matches, like the Young Bucks versus Motor City Machine Guns and FTR versus the North. But I've seen a lot of hate on this because of the way the finish was done, and that they've hyped up the match to be past the 10 o'clock, but it ended right at 10. And all I had to say was, bro, this was free television, and you witnessed like an amazing match. So I don't know what there is to be complaining about. But now let's go over the entire grade for the overall show. The overall grade I'm giving AEW Winter's Coming is 4 stars because this was an amazing show. But I feel like this were a pay-per-view, it would have done better because they've gotten longer time to develop their matches. And so like the tag team match probably would have been longer, the women's match probably would have been longer, the Jericho match probably been a little longer. But I'm not complaining about anything. It was a great show, and if AEW doesn't win the ratings, then the entire wrestling world is corrupted. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.